Dangerfield.
All right there. The other day I went to the doctors out here, and in the waiting room I got talking to this gentleman here. We'll call him Mr. X. Oh, spooky stuff. And after a while, it turns out that Mr. X has got quite a story involving legal highs. Now in England you'll know it as Spice. In America I think some of the more famous brands was K2. It's basically, it's sold as synthetic cannabis or a cannabis substitute. It's basically any combustible material covered in some kind of psychoactive chemical. So this is one hell of a story. So can you tell me, how did you first get involved? What was your first meeting with this substance?
The way I first got involved with it was owning a store, and it was a store we sold liquor, beer, cigarettes, things of that nature, and we'd try new products here and there. And one day we saw this, I saw it in other stores actually. It was called, it was sold as incense, not for human consumption. And basically people would buy it and they'd roll it up kind of like a joint, and people would smoke it and it would get you high. So we decided to try it for the store.
Hang on, so one of your suppliers offered it to you as a new product?
Yes.
Okay, so it was suggested to you. And they said to you, it says not for human consumption, but it is.
It does.
They said,
yes.
But they told you it was a psychoactive drug, essentially.
Basically, it basically affects the same receptors as marijuana. They sold it as like a synthetic marijuana.
No, but what I mean is your suppliers. Did your suppliers make it clear that this was a drug that people would consume?
Unofficially, yes, but of course it's sold officially as like an incense or a potpourri or just like a novelty product. It's not for human consumption.
So all the paperwork says that, but your
Correct.
supplier basically said to you, look, everyone's smoking it, you should stop this.
Right. Basically.
Okay, so how much did you get in, and what was your experience of that first batch?
We first got in, we didn't get in too much. We got in, I think they came in a couple different sizes. There was like a 3-gram bag, and I think maybe a 5-gram bag, and I think the 5 one retailed for about $20, and I think the 3 one retailed for maybe about 10 or 12, somewhere in there. We didn't get in too many to start with, but once we had it for about a month or two, it became obvious that this was going to be a winning product.
So what was it called? What was the product called to sell in the shop?
It was called a K2, and they had several different. They'd have different flavors or different like varieties. Some were like stronger than others, but
Okay.
it was all varieties of like K2.
And who was the customer base for this originally?
Basically, the customer base was people that were under 18 that couldn't legally buy cigarettes. Anybody having to take a drug test for work or whatnot, because you could get high on this product and you could still pass a drug test.
No, sorry, what I mean was, what sort of age group? Were they rich, poor? But based on what you could tell from the clientele, what were they, or was there no sort of single type?
I don't think there was a single type, but it was primarily the young, like the 30 and under. It wasn't the older people, it was definitely the younger people.
Okay, so when you say it was popular, how many sort of units are we talking about this first batch?
Oh, at first it was only a few, but it caught on rather quickly. By 1 or 2 months of selling it, we were going through hundreds a day.
Hundreds? What, of like 3-gram bags?
Well, 3 and 5. But they also had little 1-gram, little sample things too. It came in all sorts of different. It's like the packaging. They changed the packaging in different sizes. It's like marketing gimmicks to sell.
So you're selling about 500 grams a day?
We're selling quite a bit.
So what was your next step? Because for the English viewers, it's a liquor store to the Yanks, but it's an off-license. You sell beer, cigarettes, magazines, that kind of stuff. And so this stuff starts selling. And what's your next move?
Well, I decided to figure out exactly how it was made, because we were paying we're basically, for I think the ones that were selling $20, we're paying somewhere in the neighborhood of $12 or $13 for them. And I was trying to go online and figure out, gee, it looked kind of simple. It looked like just a little bag of some kind of like dried plant material. The stuff looked kind of simple, so I went online and figured out exactly how the stuff was made. And surprisingly, it was extremely easy and very cheap to manufacture.
So, what, you manufactured all the raw ingredients yourself?
Not at first. At first, I was getting it from the supplier already packaged.
So you were buying bags of this K2 or whatever.
Already packaged up, yes.
And so, how long after you were buying it from them did sales get to a big enough amount for you to start considering manufacture?
Probably within 3 months.
Oh shit!
So it was pretty quick.
So quickly, and was it? You say about 500 grams a day. Was that growing, or could you not? Were you running out of? Could you not supply the demand, or what? What made you?
Oh, we were running when we were getting it from the supplier. We were running out, and they couldn't meet the demand because it was very popular.
Wow. Okay, so 3 months in, you've decided, because if you're paying $14 a bag and you're selling it for $20, so you're making $6 a bag.
Yeah, well, which isn't bad, but I discovered it was quite a bit cheaper to make.
Okay,
myself.
so what was your next step?
The next step was going basically online and figuring out how this stuff was made, and it's surprisingly simple. It was research chemicals that were easily available from China at the time. At the time, this was completely legal to do.
And when was this?
Oh, so around 2010.
So 10 years ago.
About.
Okay. For people who don't know what research chemicals are, because of the way the law, well, certainly used to work, something like ecstasy, which was made illegal, you could make another MDMA and it would have a variety of what they call analogues, which is a similar chemical, but they just change. I mean, I don't know enough about chemistry to give you a proper understanding, but they can change one little bit.
It would just alter one indole ring, and it would be technically a new substance, even though it's the same effect.
Has pretty much the same effect, but it's not the same chemical, so it's suddenly outside of the law, and that's what they call. Sorry, you said it already. Analogues, but research chemicals.
Research chemicals.
I mean, I remember back in the day, you could go on the dark net and buy research chemical heroin, research chemical ecstasy, research chemical speed, all legal, even though they were kind of pretty much on point. Okay, so how did you find where to source this stuff?
Well, just going online and looking. It was websites of these Chinese wholesalers. It was I was looking up Chinese chemical wholesale companies, and there was tons of them, and they were just openly advertising that they could supply this product. They would guarantee it would make.
But how did you know what the chemical was?
Oh, I would just go online and I could research synthetic marijuana, and it would say exactly how it was made. There was a bunch of different research chemicals you could use, but it would say all the ones you could use, and it would describe the process of making it. It was surprisingly easy.
But what's the other stuff? So what, online you could find out what was the name of the chemical?
One of them was JWH18. One of them was AM2201.
That sounds.
There was a whole bunch of them. They had weird letter and numbers.
So suspect. And what about the combustible, the base sort of product?
It would be. You could spray it on. You could spray it on even paper, anything. It would need some kind of plant material that, when it's dried and ground up, it would loosely resemble like dried marijuana. One of the leaves we used was a Damiana leaf, but there was a couple of different leaves. I can't remember the others. We would just mix all these different leaves together, and then we would take it came in, it was like a crystalline powder.
Oh, well, you're jumping the gun. So you've located a supplier in China.
Yes.
You know that you've got to get diorama, whatever, and you've just got to put this stuff on it somehow.
Oh yeah, the leaves we could be purchased from within the U.S. They would just come from like a flower wholesaler, a nursery, for like craft projects or making a potpourri or whatever people would need.
Okay, so how did you go about your first order of JM818 strontium 90 or whatever it was?
Well, it was the company that I found in China. A lot of them wanted you to send money like Western Union and whatnot, and that was kind of a little bit a little bit suspicious, so I didn't want to do that. I found one that would accept PayPal. And they would guarantee it would make it through customs, so I thought, well, great, if it doesn't arrive, I'll just get my money back.
Prices, quantity?
Well, when I first started out, it was probably about $2,500 a kilo, but that would get cheaper as time went on and the order size increased.
And how many 1 gram bags of spice can you get out of a kilo of the research chemical?
Oh, maybe 2 grams of the chemical could make probably at least a kilo of finished product.
Shit.
This stuff was incredibly cheap. It was maybe 50 cents, 25 cents a bag. It was the packaging for that we had made. We had made up colorful packaging similar to the K2 that we had originally purchased. We had made up similar packaging. The packaging cost more than the actual product did.
Wow. So you ordered a kilo for $2,500 and it arrived. How did it arrive? Where did you collect it from the post office or did it come to your house?
No, I had it come to somebody else's address, but it basically, it was very suspicious looking package. It came in like half the size of a shoebox. It weighed about exactly 1 kilo, and it was wrapped, had 2 layers of like aluminum type wrapping on it. And it basically looked like a kilo of cocaine would. So basically the same way.
A crystalline kind of white
It's
powder.
like a white crystalline kind of a powder, yes.
And when you opened it, did it have a smell or an odor? Or,
It did have a weird sort of a chemical odor to it. I tried, you definitely didn't want to inhale it.
Okay, so you've got a box of this powder. It sounds to me like you don't really know exactly how much you put on or
Yeah,
how.
this is sort of trial and error and guesswork.
So how do you get that crystalline white powder onto the combustible?
Well, one of the original, I guess, instructions called for using like a high-proof alcohol.
Instructions off of the internet.
Right, and you mix it with the alcohol, and it would dissolve the crystalline stuff. And then you would put it in some type of a spray bottle, and you would like spray it on all the leaves, and then let it dry.
But how much? How would you know how much?
How much?
Well, it seems a little bit like how much alcohol, how much crystalline, and how much combustible.
Well, there's a little bit of guesswork to that. It was sort of trial and error, and
you were selling these trials.
Well, it's a lot of the people that worked with me liked smoking the one that we were purchasing, and they were all too happy to try the ones that we were producing for free and giving me their feedback on
And when
it.
you say worked with you, you mean worked for you, your
Yes.
employees?
Yes.
Your employees were smoking the product and they were testing out your...
Yes.
Okay, so did you break it down with alcohol? How did all that go?
It sort of worked with alcohol, but you'd always have the problem where it wouldn't 100% dissolve, and it just didn't work very well with alcohol. So we did some other experiments, and we discovered that, well, alcohol, you have a lot of taxes in the U.S., and so it's more expensive, and we can get gallons of acetone from Home Depot or Lowe's for much cheaper, and it broke down very quickly in that. And the acetone, would dry very quickly on the leaves also.
And
so we switched over to using acetone.
And that acetone evaporated 100%?
It evaporated within minutes.
All of it?
Yes.
Okay, so where did you go from here?
Well, you spray it on the leaves, and then you have the dried plant leaves, but it's got a horrible, weird chemical odor to it that no one's going to want to smoke this, or because it just smells awful. We'd get some industrial. You could order online fragrances, just blueberry or apple, just different flavors. You could spray the fragrance on it so it doesn't smell so horrible. And then it started to smell quite nice.
Okay, so you've packed it all up. You've got your kilo of powder. You're making your bags. You've got it all, and you're selling it through your off license.
Yes.
And what happens? Take me through it.
Oh, it sold very well because I could sell it for cheaper than other stores that were getting it from the manufacturer. I could sell it cheaper because I was making it myself. And then we also expanded to selling it to other stores and even selling it online at one point.
So your retail from your off license was undercutting everyone.
Yes.
You're now supplying other off licenses and similar, and you're
Right,
undercutting
little
their-
gas stations and places like that.
Okay, and so from what you told me before, business got pretty good.
Oh, business was, especially once we got online and we started selling it, business was amazing within.
Sorry, when you say online, was that on the ClearNet or was that on Darknet?
Oh, it was on the ClearNet because at the time this was 100% legal.
See,
what I was
this
selling.
is the thing. You might be a little bit confused about Mr. X's disguise, but there was an incident involving the law which we can't talk about because there might be some ongoing. But this stuff was totally legal at the time. So you're just selling it. People could go on Google and type in legal hires, find your shop, and just order it.
Right. We discovered problems with that rather quickly because we were using, credit card processing to do the sales. And once credit card companies, Visa and MasterCard, figure out exactly what it is you were selling, they would cancel the accounts. So I'd have all the people working for me and friends, everybody registering corporations and whatnot just to get the credit card machines and stuff to be able to accept credit cards, and we'd have to keep switching it every few weeks. They'd cancel it.
Okay, so and sales bloomed.
In like a 3-month period, it was over 700,000 in sales, and the product cost next to nothing to manufacture.
So $700,000
Yes.
in turnover.
Yes.
But I know you keep being a bit vague about it, but realistically, for the alcohol, the acetone, the packaging, the combustible, how much would you, if you needed to make £700,000 worth now, how much money would you invest in the project to make the product? To be sure.
You could do it for less than 25,000, maybe 20,000.
Shit.
It costs almost nothing.
So you're now just flying. You're supplying other suppliers. You're selling it at your shop. How much are you selling in a day? Oh, sorry, in a week. What's a week's turnover product-wise?
Just in the store that I had, I was probably at least $1,000 a day in just this stuff.
$1,000 a day. So I'm guessing you had a lot of money.
Yes, money was not a problem at that time.
So tell me about the money.
Well, the money.
How old were you? Roughly.
Roughly about in my late 20s.
So you're in your late 20s and the money's coming in. So tell me what you did.
Oh, the money was coming in. Several houses, nice houses with swimming pools. The cars.
Hang on. So you had you renting or buying?
Renting at the time.
And when you say nice houses, so you were renting 3 properties.
Yes.
I know you don't really want to say where they were, but nice locations, I'm guessing.
Yes.
And when you say nice properties, can you describe the nicest one?
Probably like $1 million house.
Shit. Swimming pools, gardens.
Yes.
How many bedrooms?
I think it was about 4 or 5.
4 or 5 bedrooms, and you got 3 of these properties on the go.
Yes, in 3 properties in relative close proximity to each other. Yes.
And you told me that you had a ski villa.
Yep, I had it was a condo on a ski mountain. Yes.
And how much was the rent on that?
The rent was about $3,000 a month, and I went to it once.
Shit. Okay.
I had it just to have it because it's when the money comes in, you think it's never going to stop, and you spend it like there's no tomorrow.
So cars.
Cars. There was a Mercedes convertible.
Tell me more. Tell me about that. What Mercedes convertible?
SL 500, the hardtop convertible. There was the S 500, the 4-door.
Hang on, cost.
Well, there was another little scheme that went along with the cars. It was because when you buy the vehicles in the U.S., you have to pay taxes to register these vehicles. We discovered it was much cheaper to get a motor vehicle dealer license. Then you can just put a dealer license plate on the back of any car that you own, and you don't have to register to pay taxes on it. And so I could just do that instead of registering.
And you could get away with that because you had so many vehicles, or
well, I had a it was cheaper to maintain the corporation that had the motor vehicle dealer license. Than it would have been to register all the vehicles.
Okay, carry on. More about the cars in detail.
There was the Mercedes SL 500, hardtop convertible. There was a BMW M5, Corvette, hardtop. There was a Ferrari 360.
So you'd have all these.
There was a Cadillac Escalade.
Any more?
Oh God, I went through cars so quickly.
How
Hummer H2.
So where would all these cars be?
Well, I had some of them would be parked in my garage in the driveway. I even had storage units rented out at one time to house all the cars. I had so many. I had to get one of those portable battery packs because the batteries would be dead because I couldn't drive the cars often enough because I just had so many.
So what were you doing? You're late 20s. You've got crazy amounts of money. I mean, how much money did this project make you in total? Over what period?
Probably it lasted a little bit less than 2 years, and then the product became illegal, so we couldn't sell it anymore.
Oh, sting!
That was the problem.
So we know about the incident, but that wasn't what stopped it.
No.
They changed the laws.
The laws changed, yes.
And they stopped analogues, didn't they? That's what
right.
it was.
Anything that was similar to any of the chemicals that were banned were also banned, even if it was slightly different. If the effects were the same, fell under the same thing.
Did you see this coming, or were you thinking you were going to ride in this money train for years?
Well, I could sort of see that it would come at some point because there was legislation being considered to stop this sort of thing. But at the time when the money's coming in, I mean, you live like it's never going to stop. That you get used to a certain lifestyle, and you're just constantly wanting more.
And what was that lifestyle? Parties, fast cars, fast women? Were you going out to nightclubs?
All of that stuff.
And what, you just pick up women and say, come back to my £1 million house in my Ferrari and...
Yeah. Basically, yes.
Yeah.
It's not hard when you're driving a Ferrari.
And it was that simple, is it?
It was, at the time, it was.
If you're driving a Ferrari, you're a bitch magnet.
Yeah.
And if you take them back to your $1 million place or your ski pad. So in that 2 years, how much money did you spend?
I probably spent well over $2 million.
$2 million.
And the only thing that limited it was the constant credit card issues we had with the online sales. We were probably only active about 50% of the time because there's always a down period where we're waiting for a new processor. We would have doubled it easy if the credit card processor issue wasn't there.
So the biggest sales were online?
Online, because we could sell across the country.
Yeah, you could. Were you selling internationally or just America?
Pretty much just in the US.
Okay. So you could get enough product, you had enough customers, but you were always chasing your tail, being able to process
the payments, yes.
And if it wasn't for that, 4 or 5 million a year.
Oh, easy.
Wow. And so they changed the laws. What? I mean, had you invested any money? What happened when they changed the laws? You're sitting on a business, by the sounds of it, a fucking good business. You've got plenty of product, plenty of customers. The laws are changed. Where were you financially when the laws were changed?
I was doing good financially when the laws were changed, and I put some money away, but there came a time where it was very difficult to meet the same... to continue that same, because you get used to a certain lifestyle, and when your income is drastically altered, it's very difficult to continue, and it's difficult to change your life when you get used to a certain lifestyle. You're very hesitant and resistant to change because you get used to that, the luxury living, and it's hard to go back to a more normal type of living.
So you just closed shop?
Well, once the stuff became illegal, we couldn't legally sell it anymore, so that was a massive drop in income.
Did you consider at all selling it illegally?
Sure.
And you just thought, this is on top?
No comment.
Okay, okay. Did the cars go back? You let go of the leases on the house?
Yeah, I consolidated some of the vehicles and just to one house. And
you just walked off into the sun with a cloud of legal hire dissipating behind you?
Yes, basically. Now, I had tried this stuff once myself, and they said it's supposed to be like a synthetic marijuana and mimic the effects of weed. But man, I tell you, it's nothing like the effects of weed. Weed is like a mellow, peaceful, pleasant high. This stuff hits you. I don't even know how to describe it. It's super intense. Your heart feels like it's beating out of your chest. It's like some kind of a devilish mix of crack and maybe meth mixed together. It's horrible for you. And this is off one half of a puff, and it hits you like that.
I mean,
it's horrible stuff.
I've done plenty of drugs, but I've never done the legal high. I saw what it done for the homeless community in Soho, and nah.
Oh, it was horrible stuff. And at the time when we were getting into it, especially when we were just starting it, you know, we want our stuff to be the best. So the cost of the stuff is so little, we would just add more and more and more of the chemical, because the stuff was very addicting. We'd add more and more of the chemical, so the stuff became more and more addicting. And we'd even give out samples to people to try to drum up, because once people try it and they get addicted to it, they're coming every day for the stuff. So we're giving out free samples of the stuff.
This brings me nicely to this question. Did you ever consider the morality of this?
Well, when the income starts coming in, the morality sort of goes out the window, unfortunately.
Okay, and what about in retrospect?
In retrospect, it was basically like selling drugs legally. It's, you know, basically like selling cocaine before cocaine had become illegal. Of course, there's a huge market for it. There's a huge demand. It was just before it had become illegal.
Okay, amazing. Thank you very much for talking to me.
Thank you.
We want this debate. We're confident in this debate because we've looked at what's going on and we're sure that you've got it wrong.
Thank